Good day, everyone. My name is Olayinka. These are my teammates, Olivia, Yorgo, and Jason. And we are MBA students at the Kelley School of Business. And today we'll be walking you through our top strategies to attain economic success along the Monon Trail. We are familiar with the background and span of the Monon Trail. The central challenge we were faced with was the trail's fragmented status, and we needed to create a strategy for existing and new small businesses to bring about and capture foot traffic, and particularly by drawing visitors from nearby metropolitan areas like Louisville, who utilize the largest 10-mile stretch near Dean Lake. Before then, we want to highlight key resources that we contacted in gaining broader insights on the landscape of rural trail communities and to learn about how they achieve success in order to translate that growth strategies for the Mona South Trail. The Allegheny Trail, located in northern Pennsylvania, gave us insights into how to foster a personal brand for the Monon Trail and give us a sentimental sense of belonging of those 7 communities surrounding it. Furthermore, our discussion with the Cardinal Greenway, located here in Indiana, was more for insights on how to overcome some ambiguities that the small businesses surrounding the trails are facing and how to market and bring about foot traffic and convert those customers into repeat customers. And lastly, the Misabi Trail in Minnesota gave us some insights into tangible ideas that they've implemented for marketing and outreach initiatives, like providing the visitors of these communities a video experience of what it's like going through the trails and what to get excited about and so on. And to just give them some incentive to explore more. And more information of these trails can be found in the appendix. Then we contacted with an expert, Amy Camp, who had 15 years of consulting experience for trail communities. She additionally wrote a book on trail towns and also created a website for insights on her experience. And further information and her contact information is also included in the appendix as well. Now, going into our executive summary, our key objectives for our recommendation focuses on increasing foot traffic along the Monon Trail and attracting both native and out-of-state visitors, especially in the off-season, and emphasizing on how to turn these visitors into repeat visitors of the trail. And another is to build the community's optimism and foster a growth or a momentum for the Monon Trail. And lastly is to support the local businesses along the trail and boost economic activity. And to achieve this, we want to foster a unified brand identity. Again, I'm hammering on that sentimental piece that gets the name of Mona Sao out there and boosts visibility towards the trail. And continuing on the goal of visibility, we'll be putting forward the idea of search engine optimization and social media engagement and regional tourism campaigns, which will be touched on in later slides. And our top strategies are implementing seasonal events, navigation tools, and lastly, business engagements and new development. And these actionable strategies are broken up into a short-term plan and a long-term plan, just to give guidance on what we believe management should take focus on in creating like a good and sustainable position for growth in the meantime, and what plans to take on in the near future. And that being said, we're open by the end of this presentation. Everyone here leaves with a tangible action plan to get the Monon Trail up and running. And now Olivia will be going over our short-term strategy.
Thank you, Ulyanka. So, our first idea that can be implemented in the short term while the trail is still being completed is mitigating seasonality. So, as you'd expect, not as many people are visiting the trail when it's colder because it's just not ideal walking or biking weather. And according to National Geographic, parks can see less than 10 visitors a day in the winter. So, to combat this, we suggest having seasonal activities such as Christmas light show, haunted hayride, trick or treating, At first, this idea can help bring visitors in during cold months, but it can also be expanded to having events at every holiday, such as a lover's walk for Valentine's Day or fireworks on the 4th of July. And simply just haunted attractions bring in 7,500 to 10,000 visitors per season, according to American Haunts. And we also suggest having seasonal menu items or retail, depending on your business, to offer limited time specials for holidays all year. And then next, our idea is visitor navigation tools, including an interactive online map where visitors can go to see what businesses are near them and what they have to offer, with links to their websites or pages. So this will not only help promote the local businesses, but we can sell advertising to them if they want to do additional marketing. And the map would include real-time location and important trail updates such as weather, events, photos, and reviews. So for more information, if users don't want to use the online map, there will be maps and brochures at every trailhead that would include frequently asked questions, town directories, and sample itineraries of shops, activities, or restaurants to visit. And finally, we have wayfinding signage is extremely important because not every business is right off the trail and in sight of trail users. So just having arrows pointing to local businesses near that location will encourage trail users to go explore the town beyond the main trail. And then our other marketing efforts include search engine optimization and a travel bingo card. So currently when you search up Monon South, their magnificent Monon South website does not show up. So just increasing visibility of the site will make it easier for people to check if and when they want to visit with maps and information about the businesses and events they can expect during their visit. Google specifically is the main search engine with a 90% share, so being able to find the website would be very helpful to visitors and increase traction and awareness to Magnificent Monon South. We suggest putting a link to the travel bingo card on this website, and trail users can post pictures with hashtags and captions to mark off the places they go along the trail. And this allows visitors to do marketing for the trail and the businesses along it themselves while winning fun prizes for filling out the card. So now I'm going to pass it to Jason to discuss our long-term strategy.
Thank you, Olivia. Now we'll look at some of the long-term strategy and some of the business engagement and development. So focusing on local businesses that currently exist, we would like to encourage locals and visitors alike to engage with these businesses. You should create some sort of token or business card for visitors that they could give to businesses as sort of a goal-achieving mechanism, which focuses on the goal gradient hypothesis, where just as someone gets closer and closer to achieving an end goal, they're more and more likely to continue along that path of achieving that same goal. And so we're proposing putting the name and logo of each of the businesses that someone visits along the trail above each punch hole to sort of track where they've been, when they've been, and how much they've spent. When someone completes purchases totaling, say, $50 with no timeline of completion, they can be rewarded with some sort of trail swag. This can be a car magnet, a backpack, a sweatshirt, things along those lines that just have the Monon South logo and name big and bold on them. Next, looking for some new businesses. We found that some of the businesses along many trails that have been successful are bike and repair shops, ice cream shops, coffee bars, sort of the things that you think would be very successful along the trail, just so that visitors feel safe and confident that they're able to move along the trail without worrying about where they'll get their next meal or what happens if something happens to their bicycle. They know that there are verified and safe places to make these purchases. A WeCanServePA.org study found that around half of respondents purchased a soft good during their most recent trip to a trail. And they defined a soft good as things like a water bottle, a bug spray, sunscreen, things that can be purchased at any convenience store and have a very long shelf life, so there's no real risk of those things going bad. Further, we're proposing having an all-purpose store at every trailhead to meet this need for each of the consumers. Now I'll pass it on to Yorgo to talk about some of the marketing efforts.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. So just to round out some of the long-term implementation here, we briefly talked with Jeff and his team about implementing billboard on State Highway 60. We know that this draws a lot of traffic, through Deem Lake and into the Louisville area. So we think that that's something to think about in the future. Also, just having visitor center branding, whether it's brochures or packets at visitor centers across the interstate throughout the state of Indiana. And then finally, we think that having some sort of running series would be an amazing thing for the Monon South Trail. These could be running events ranging from 5Ks, 10Ks, even to a full marathon. And the beauty with these events is they could connect multiple communities along the trail. And we think this is an amazing way to promote the trail, not only to its surrounding community, but really the region as a whole, as people from other states would sign up potentially for these races. So that's something to think about, but we definitely want to draw a lot of importance. We think running events would be a great way to engage our region and local community on a year-round basis. And then now moving into some of our best practices, we'll just kind of quickly summarize our presentation here for you all. So just looking at some common trail town characteristics, infrastructure is obviously really important. And we think that the Monon South Trail, in terms of infrastructure, has already done a really good job when you talk about the trailheads they have, the signage they have, as well as the amenities like bathrooms at each trailhead. But we want to specify that we think that there can be signage. We talked about wayfinding type signage where you're along the trail and you can see a sign that shows you here's the closest restaurant and diners and gas station, etc. So we want to be more specific there. And then also having bike lanes and bike racks throughout the city so that bike users, right, if they're going for 40 miles, right, they can easily navigate their way through the downtown areas along the trail. And then in terms of shops, when you look at trail towns, you see towns, right, with restaurants, with outfitters, with bike shops, and with lodging, and these are all places of business that directly cater towards trail users. And then finally, events. We just talked about the importance of having some type of running series, even having walks, having biking events, and then having seasonal events. And I think that the main theme with events is having events that are year round, that even in our down periods in the winter and fall, we're still finding a way to do, for example, a turkey trot, 5K on Thanksgiving, having a Christmas lights thing along the trail. So again, we think it's important. The community in these towns need to be engaged year round. And then moving on, here's some real world examples. These are two towns that were completely revitalized by their trails. So just looking at Damascus, Virginia, they've basically been branded as Trail Town USA. And a main theme of our presentation today really is that these communities along the Monon South Trail can embody a trail town mindset. And that's exactly what Damascus, Virginia did. We think that trail culture needs to become part of the community identity and economy. And it's underlined there because that's kind of the epitome of our presentation today. We want these Southern Indiana towns to embrace trail culture and make that their identity going forward. So moving on to our final slide here, we have a little quote up top, and I'll just read that. To become a trail town, we need to be trail friendly. And to do that, just looking at our 5 headers here, we need to collaborate with our community. We've kind of harped on, right, having events throughout the year. And then infrastructure enhancements. We want to add bike lanes, racks, wayfinding signage. We want to make this an easy experience for our trail goers. And then business engagement. Throughout the process of our consulting project, we talked with a lot of local small businesses about ways we could attract trail users and tailor our menus to offer items that trail users might find attractive. And then marketing. We think that Sadie Miscuff, if she's in the crowd right now, shout out to her, but she's done an amazing job with Magnificent Monon South. And we definitely just want to continue encouraging user-generated content in the future, whether that's some type of hashtag, some type of thing to spread the word. And then finally, seasonal programming. That should be another big theme today. Having offerings that are throughout the year, not just in the summer and the spring when it's nice out, but really encouraging off-season tourism. So finally, we just really want to thank Jeff and the Radius Indiana team. We had an amazing time on this project. We're sorry we couldn't be there in person today. But again, if any of you guys have questions, please feel free to reach out to any of us. We're always willing to help. So thank you guys.